Imagine a darkness so deep it literally consumes not just your life, but your entire bloodline. Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really chilling narrative straight out of modern folklore. We're going to visually break down this incredible story of desperation, dark magic, and the terrifying consequences of breaking a supernatural pact. We'll be looking at the legend of a man named Ajitesh and a forbidden practice known as Kak Tantra. Trust me, you'll absolutely want to pay close attention to the details on the screen for this one.
So what price would you pay to change your destiny? I want you to really let the gravity of that question sink in for a second. It's kind of the core theme of everything we're about to explore here. Most of us, we'd work harder, maybe take a big risk, or make some tough sacrifices. But what if the only currency accepted to rewrite your fate was your own blood and your sanity? Would you strike a deal with death itself?
Our story kicks off with this really stark contrast. We have Ajitesh living in Kanpur, and he's just absolutely crushed under a mountain of suffocating debt. His life is basically a tiny garment go down, a struggling family, and this heavy, awful silence in his home. But meanwhile, his older brother, Suresh, is over in Lucknow, living it up. Total luxury, massive wealth. Ajitesh isn't just poor, he's deeply humiliated. And that jealousy, combined with that absolute rock-bottom desperation, made him incredibly vulnerable. He was, quite literally, the perfect target for something sinister to exploit. Okay, so how does the opportunity actually present itself? The source material paints this incredibly eerie picture. It's a biting, freezing, foggy winter night in Kanpur. You know the kind, where you can barely see your own hands in front of your face. And out of this thick fog steps this mysterious, hunched tantric. But get this, he's not alone. Resting on his shoulders are two crows. And according to the narrative, their tiny eyes are literally glowing in the mist. He's wandering the streets, promising to change broken destinies. Now, while everyone else hides inside, Ajitesh, well, driven by pure desperation, he watches him. Okay, let's dive into this. What exactly was this tantric offering? It's an occult practice called Kak Tantra. This is a highly dangerous, totally ancient practice. It's built on this belief that crows aren't just birds, they're supernatural messengers. They act as a literal bridge between the world of the living and the world of the dead. The belief is that when mastered, through what's called a sadhana, they can actually manipulate reality to do things way beyond human capability, like bringing immense wealth. But tapping into that bridge, yeah, it requires a serious toll. Because this wasn't some simple spell, it was a grim, unbreakable contract. Let's walk through the steps. Step 1. Every single morning, Ajitesh had to take a blade and cut his own finger. Step 2. He had to mix his fresh human blood into a bowl of grains. Step 3. He feeds this bloody mixture to the crows. But here is the absolute most important part of this entire pact. He had to do it without a single day of failure. There is zero room for error here, folks. It's a daily blood pact.
Right after the ritual is initiated, and that first feeding is done, the tantric turns to Ajitesh and delivers this chilling line: "Never forget the crows, for they do not forgive." That is a heavy, absolute warning. It sets the rules of engagement right then and there. The magic is going to provide, for sure, but the entities demanding the payment, they are entirely merciless.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how blindingly fast the magic actually worked. Before the ritual, Ajitesh was practically drowning, but immediately after, boom, a massive business deal that had been stuck for 3 whole years suddenly closes in a single week. Money just starts pouring in. He buys this massive new mansion, his wife is smiling for the first time in years. It's a total visual transformation. But it also marks the beginning of his fatal hubris. Because the wealth didn't just change his bank account, it fundamentally changed his ego.
And that brings us to the turning point. Years pass, and, well, wealth breathes severe arrogance, right? Ajitesh gets so comfortable in his shiny new life that he commits the ultimate sin of this pact. He completely forgets the tantric's warning. First, he accidentally misses a morning. Then he's like, I'll just do the blood ritual once a week. And eventually, he just stops completely. He stops feeding the crows. He broke the unbreakable contract. And in that one instant, he doomed his entire family.
So the supernatural punishment kicks in, and it is entirely methodical. It doesn't just kill him instantly, no, it dismantles his life piece by piece. First up, a warning after that missed feeding. A dead crow appears right on his front porch. Ajitesh ignores it. Big mistake. Then, the real terror hits. Massive financial ruin. His most profitable deals vanish overnight. A business partner commits fraud and just completely disappears. And finally, his garment Godown, the very source of his wealth, burns entirely to ashes. The magic was taking back everything it gave with interest. Stripped of all that unnatural wealth, the psychological defeat is just absolute. Bankrupt and utterly terrified, Ajitesh has zero choices left. He's forced to pack up his family in total silence and move all the way back to that old, dilapidated house in Kanpur where this whole nightmare started. He is right back at square one, but this time, the entities are already waiting for him.
Just imagine the visceral terror of this for a second. Ajitesh arrives at his old home, looks out the window, and his breath just catches in his throat. The house is completely surrounded, and I don't mean by a few birds. Hundreds of completely silent crows. They're covering the roof, the railings, the trees in the yard, and they aren't moving a muscle. They're just staring, unblinkingly, directly at the house, just waiting. It's this incredibly suffocating image of inescapable dread.
From there, the psychological torture ramps up severely. In the dead of night, it's not hundreds of crows anymore. It's just one. A single crow sits right at Ajitesh's bedroom window. It has these glowing red eyes piercing through the dark, and it just taps, tap, 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 continuously on the glass. It's a brilliant, terrifying manifestation of his guilt, right? And the absolute terror that the debt collectors have arrived and they're literally knocking on his window.
But here is where the story gets truly heartbreaking, because the dark magic starts infecting the innocent. His 15-year-old son goes completely silent. When his parents try to talk to him, he literally growls at them like an animal. He spends day and night obsessively drawing black crows in his notebooks, so much so that his hands are deeply, permanently stained black from the crayons. The bloodline is officially tainted. The curse bypassed the father and went straight for the son. And then, the physical attacks finally begin. Ajitesh looks in the mirror one morning and discovers these deep, black, beak-like scratch marks covering his neck. He has absolutely no idea how they got there or when it even happened. The supernatural threat has crossed over into real physical violence. Time has completely run out.
In a total blind panic, Ajitesh desperately searches for the tantric who started all of this. He actually finds him, but the guy is half dead on the floor, his body covered in bird scratches, surrounded by crows. And the dying tantric screams this at him: "Fool, my condition is because of you. They will take everything from you." That right there, that's the final nail in the coffin. There's no counterspell, no forgiveness. All hope is officially gone.
Which brings us to the horrific climax. That very night, the sky over their house turns entirely black with swarming crows. The deafening sound of their caws fills the air, just cutting right through the wind. Inside the house, the teenage son collapses into violent seizures, thrashing around like a dying bird. And then, the absolute peak of the horror. The son's face begins to change, his lips literally mutating into a terrifying dark beak. He is completely possessed. The conclusion here is as gruesome as it is inevitable. The possessed son, completely driven by these supernatural entities, brutally attacks and kills his own father. As Ajitesh takes his final breath, the hundreds of crows that were waiting outside, they smash into the house. They swarm his body, extracting their ultimate bloody payment directly from his flesh. His mother, totally paralyzed by fear, can only watch before she eventually manages to flee the house forever with her traumatized son.
According to the source, Ajitesh's ruined house actually still stands today as this decaying skeleton, and locals say it's still swarmed by a massive flock of crows. So we end exactly where we began. He got the mansion, he got the money, he got the respect, but looking at the absolute devastation he brought down on his family, was the wealth really worth the ultimate price? Thank you so much for walking through this explainer with me. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.